Hi, my name is Cindy. I'm one of the guides with Get Set Up, and I want to take a little bit of time just to show you out a new feature that we have with Get Set Up. It's our AI. We call her Helen. After teaching hundreds of classes over the last 4 years with Get Set Up, there are actually several different questions that keep coming up in certain classes. And today I'm going to talk to you about questions that come up in my class on brain games and keeping your mind sharp. So I'm going to start out with the screen share here, and let me pull up the correct screen real quick. Give me just a moment here. Alrighty. So here's a screen that I want to share with you. It's basically what you see when you go in and log in to Get Set Up. And if you notice, there may be a little bit of a new look to the page here, but I just want to talk to you a little bit about what it's all about. Here's the home page. This is what you'll see when you log in to Get Set Up. And if you notice, there is a new something up here called Helen AI. What you see, first of all, is you see a little introduction here, which will welcome you back to the Get Set Up page. And any question that you may have, you can simply type in here with Helen. So very easy thing to do. Also, on the page, if you notice, there are some sample topics that you may be interested in that you can click on down here and get some help with. We have so many different classes over so many different topics. These are just a few suggestions for you here. But what I want to show you today is how to get some help with finding brain games and things that you can use and have a good time using and improve your cognitive health. So I'm going to start out by typing in a question here. Let me see here. Oh, let's try this one. Can you suggest a daily brain exercise routine, not routing? Hypo. There we go. Now all I have to do is I can hit the enter button or I can click on the little arrow right over here. And as you'll see, the page will change. Here's my question that I just got through asking Helen. There is some other information that's up here left over from a previous chat with Helen. But right here, you'll see she's actually answering my question over here. You'll see on the right-hand side, you'll see some related classes that are all about brain apps, things over here, questions that are related to the question that you just asked, Helen. But here's her answer saying that's a great question and how important it is to keep our brains active. Talks about puzzles and gives you some types of games that you could try that are puzzle games like crossword puzzles, Sudoku, even brain teasers. That these will help your problem solving abilities. Talks about memory games right here. Talking about online memory games or even apps that can sharpen your recall ability. There are many, many apps that are out there on the Google Play Store, as well as on the App Store if you have an iPhone. There are some reading games. You can spend some time reading New Brains or articles. This is another suggestion for a daily brain exercise. Mindfulness and meditation. This is some other good information here. Also, physical activity is very important to keep our brains active also. So as you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see that Helen tells you to continue the conversation about a daily brain exercise routine. You can type in another question right here, or here are some questions that are follow-up questions that Helen actually even suggests for you. So I'm going to go ahead and continue the conversation and type in another question down here. Um, let's see here. I'm going to ask about some classic riddles. Let's see. Oops, excuse my typing. What are some classic riddles or logic puzzles for brain training? And again, I'm going to click right here, or you can hit the enter button. And you can see Helen's thinking. It takes just a few seconds for her to scour the web and take a look for a good answer for you. But while she's answering, let's look over here on the right-hand side. If you notice, there are suggested classes that are all related to the question that you just asked. So there are suggested classes here that we have with Get Set Up. Things that you can take. You can actually click on one of these and sign up for the class if you want. For example, let's click on this one, 10 Myths About Your Brain. This is one that's done by Scott, one of our guides. So I'm going to click on it and we'll show you what happens here. You can actually watch the class right here. The class is going. Scott's teaching it. And you can actually watch it, listen to it if you want. Also, if you notice in the lounge area, which this is actually where you are, you can actually still go ahead and chat and start a chat with Helen right over here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that quickly and show you how that works. I'm going to click on Start Chat. Let's see if it will work. Oh, if this was live, I think maybe possibly it would. I'm not totally sure on that one, but you can actually start the chat by clicking right down here. Just not sure why it's not working on my computer right now at the moment. So if I'm finished with the class, I can actually either go ahead and talk with Helen over here, or if I want to exit out of the class, I can click right up here, exit out of the class. And it's going to ask you to confirm, are you sure you want to exit out of the class? And if you say yes, continue to exit. It's also going to suggest some other classes up here that may be interesting things that you may want. Let me go back. Didn't mean to click on that one. May actually be interesting to you that you might want to take too. So there's plenty of suggestions for classes that are either related to the topic you're talking about, or in this case, it's actually showing you some other topics that you may find interesting and that you could also go in and click on one of these classes and take the class right now too. If you decide you want to go back to this class, you can go ahead and click on Resume Class and the class will pick up right here where you were. You can go ahead and finish watching this class here. But if you do want to exit, you can simply click on the exit button and then confirm, yes, I want to continue to exit. And it brings you right back here to Helen. This is the Helen AI assistant that we have. Now, another way you can get to Helen, when you're on the home screen, the first thing that you see is the new layout here where you have Helen right here. If what you want to do is simply just go into Helen, you can do that by clicking right here and you will be in the AI Helen and you can start asking your questions right here. Let's see. I'm going to ask another question here in relationship to brain apps or brain training. Let's see. Oops. So what is a good word association game? Let me correct my typing here. As I said, you're going to have to bear with me here. So again, we've asked her a question here. I'm going to go ahead and let's see what the answer is this time. And as she's thinking, remember over here, also some classes again that are associated here. While she's thinking, let's look also at a couple of other things down here. As you see, here are some related articles. This is some information where you can click on right here, and you can see here's some other articles about brain training, things like that. Here's one on best online learning games to play with your grandchildren even. That's always a fun thing to do. You can actually click on that and it will actually show you the article right here. This is a very good article about brain games that you can actually play with your grandchildren. So that's a very handy thing too, to be able to find articles. Sometimes it's easier for us to just go ahead and look at articles than it is to actually maybe listen to a whole class. Maybe we have time just for a quick article in between or on our lunch break or something like that. So all kinds of good articles that are in here, and they'll be related to the topic that you're on and that you're talking to Helen about. So here's our answer. Good word association game for cognitive health. Pick any word, for example, apple. Start with a random word. Then next player, this is actually telling you how to play the game, would say a word that's related to apple, such as fruit. And then you continue next person, you would just follow on with that concept. Then here's a couple of rules for some extra fun. You can make it to where if somebody repeats a word already, they can be out of the game, or you can even set a timer, encouraging people to think quickly. This one can be a lot of fun also. If you want to play by yourself, you can write down the associations instead of actually saying them out loud. And again, as we come on down, here's some suggested follow-up questions. Um, Here's one. How can word games aid memory retention for seniors? And again, Helen's thinking. And here comes your answers right here. Does it take just a couple of seconds for her to answer? Talks about engagement, vocabulary expansion, social interaction, memory recall. And you can also continue the conversation if she piques your interest with something and you have a question from something about the answer that she gave you. Again, you can put it in right down here and Helen will continue the conversation with you. Or you can simply go off of one of these little quick suggested follow-up questions right here. So as you can see, our new AI assistant, Helen, can help us in many ways while we're actually in the lounge watching live classes. As you're watching the class, don't forget that there is actually an area where you can interact with Helen. Sorry, I was going to show you that one more time. Let me get back here where I was. If you want to click on any of that's the related articles, if you want to click on the related classes and see what they are, again, if you want to click on it and find something while you're listening to it. And again, if you're in the lounge, this is a live class. You can actually interact and ask questions of Helen while you're actually taking the class. So going back here to our homepage where we were, short recap of what we talked about. When you sign in, you'll see your home screen with Helen right up top here. Also, here's some other topics that you may be interested in that you can actually click on and get some information. Helen is very good about suggesting other things as well, because Get Set Up has so many things to offer. We'd like to show you all of the things, a lot of things you may not know about. But again, when you're on the home page right here, you can start your conversation with Helen right off the top here. Or you can go on down and you'll see all of our live and starting soon classes, and the rest of the page should look very familiar to you. So that's a brief overview there of our new Helen AI assistant. And I hope that this helps you, and I encourage you to get out there, work with Helen, ask your questions, whether you're in a class or just have a question you want to come into the site and ask. And Helen